This video is going to be a film study look at the fourth quarter progression of the Lions' 20-16 loss at home to the Buccaneers. And what I mean when I say progression is the game flow basically resulting after you get a stop with about 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We all know that Detroit went 1 for 7, I guess inside the red zone or down there close. Certainly left points on the board. I'm not here to second guess, should you kick a field goal in certain situations? When you're down by 4, that changes the dynamic. You don't know how many more times you're going to get the ball back, number one. I do think that the Lions defense looks solid in this game. Looks like they can be relied upon to get stops when you need them. They did so in this game against the Bucs. Certainly the Bucs had big plays. The touchdown to Godwin up the left sideline on what I think is, probably a blown coverage by the right side corner, Terrion Arnold, or, a miscommunication between him and the safety and the nickel. But in any case, this is going to be an examination of some of the play calls that I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of once you get down there close. I'm specifically talking about the possession where Jahmyr Gibbs is kind of pigeonholed into attacking to the boundary. And look, he's been extremely successful there on run concepts and pass concepts to the short side of the field, away from the nickel defender and 11 personnel. But with that speed that he has, and he looked like lightning quick on a couple of those plays in the fourth quarter. Yes, I understand you want to get him the ball, number one. Number two, at that point in the game, I think St. Brown had already been hurt, nicked up, banged up, whatever you want to call it. And the coaching staff, Ben Johnson, probably knew that, so felt a little less comfortable or confident in some of the play calls to him. He did have a third down catch in the fourth quarter, and also a catch in the final minute of the game, to a short catch to kind of move the Lions closer before the failed fourth down throws there inside the 30. But my point here isn't to be overly critical, and this is not actually a Jared Goff film study video. I'm still trying to work through that. That's going to be a Wednesday night deal, to be honest with you, because of how many plays. I think I have 50 at this point saved up. Pass concepts, a lot of them under center. Teams appear to be onto some of the Lions' play calling patterns. I do wonder about that. I can't prove it, obviously, but I think that teams are very prepared. The Rams and Bucs defenses here, and certainly the Lions' offense doesn't look as efficient or clean through 2 games overall, particularly Goff. Let's get to the film. This is the aforementioned stop. It's a split sack by Onwuzurike and Hutchinson on 3rd and 7. Stunt between McNeil and Onwuzurike. I actually talked about this in the Hutchinson video that I did yesterday. Not sure if you guys checked it out, but Hutchinson obviously had 4.5 sacks. I broke down a lot of his play, how the Bucs were hesitant to chip him early in the game, which is very unusual. I've seen some quizzical comments from non-Lions fans in some of the in the feedback for that video, denigrating the tackle that Hutchinson took advantage of. Cool. Well, the Bucs knew who he was, number one, going into the game. Number two, they saw how he was getting shredded and could have adjusted their pass pro. They did not. They were willing to live with the results, so they all count. In any case, this produces a stop for the Lions, down 20-16. Of course, no points were scored by either team in the fourth quarter, and you start to get an idea of how explosive Gibbs can be and how willing Ben Johnson is to rely on him on some of these third down run concepts. 11 personnel twin slot with Laporta and Gibbs into the boundary, and then a run play to the field. It's a too high safety look, kind of a staggered safety look. The Bucs are very fortunate that this one didn't go all the way. I mean, really, when Jahmyr Gibbs gets the football and gets any space beyond or through the first level of the defense untouched on his tracks, it's scary for any defense at all. And you have an inside linebacker, I think, who's stepping in the wrong direction, stepping into the boundary, basically opening this gap up. The Bucs alignment on this particular play, I think, is quite poor. In my opinion, I have no idea what they're doing there, but it goes for 24 yards on a 3rd and 4. And at this point in time, I don't know about you, I'm excited because we're talking about 8 minutes left in the game, and you're down here inside the 30. Down 20-16, I felt like the momentum was in the Lions' favor because their defense was playing quite well. There's a lot going on here. First of all, Goff gets punished. Let me get there first. So, end zone angle. I don't subscribe to rating services. I don't have time necessarily. Maybe it would make me more efficient. But what I do is watch the film and tell you what I see. I don't think Kevin Zeitler's playing as well as many other people do. I think that at times you have seen some limited mobility. I don't know what, if any, injuries or situations he's dealing with, but he looks less mobile than the guy that I remembered for the Ravens in the last couple of years, number one. Number two, he's got an inside shade defensive tackle here, 95. Zeitler is looking to help to the outside, but he's got a visual key here to the outside, and then a pressure key here, 95. And so he's looking to help Sewell, but in this case, it doesn't work out. Basically, him and Ragnow both leave 95. I'm sure that at some point, Dan Campbell and other guys have talked about this play. Extremely unfortunate. Now, were that not to happen, still, where is Jared Goff going with this football? To me, it looks like he's trying to go right hash on some type of dig route. So maybe it's the fact that Tim Patrick is new to the offense and is running a different route than Goff expects him to. But even Goff's progression here, he's looking to the left side right now. So it's not like him and Tim Patrick. This is a cover three. All right, so this is a cover three deep by the Bucs. Here is your underneath four droppers. So it's not like Goff and Patrick are reading anything in combination or in tandem such that they're reading the same guy and then the route is being adjusted. Patrick is just running this route to the corner. This ball's thrown in the middle of the field. I'm confused about what the concept here for real. And I'm sure that you guys have listened to people break it down and other content creators, number one or number two, maybe even Lions coaches or players talk about it and admit what the thought process was. But in my experience, when you are reading something, pattern read it from an offense, reading a defender and then breaking your route in a certain direction based off his leverage, his depth, whatever, the quarterback has to be doing that at the same time as the receiver. And in this case, Goff is looking to the boundary. He's looking to the left where you have Jameson Williams, where you have Laporta. Gibbs is pass pro, and so he's not over there. So I have no idea where this ball is going unless it's a predetermined dig route by someone down on the right side. Excuse me, let me get back to the all-22. Unless it's supposed to be a predetermined dig route late in the progression, and Goff just knows that it's cover three, which, he's incredibly smart about the way that he processes the game. So he knows that it's cover three, and he's looking for Patrick to bring this route underneath. That's the only thing that I can think there. I'm not smart enough to figure it out absent Goff and Dan Campbell and maybe Ben Johnson and other guys talking about it in a press conference. So you guys let me know what you think of those thoughts. Certainly a huge turnover. Very disappointing. In my opinion, that's not something that is in Goff's character to do consistently in his run in Detroit. At least I haven't seen it. I'm talking about 2022, 2023 film. But this year's been a complete struggle. And like I said, I'm in the midst of a longer film study video that is going to take a significant amount of time for me to organize my thoughts so that what I put out there is efficient and hopefully accurate. So now you're into 3rd and 12, and you get a nice stop up here at the top side. Carlton Davis III is on the rookie McMillan. And credit Baker Mayfield. He's going over there, trying to force the Lions to get a stop, force someone to make a play, giving his rookie a chance. The Lions have Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch helping out with leverage on the inside receiver and then potentially on a post or a dig backside as well. Man coverage down here. I think you've got Campbell. Anzalone, I believe, is out at this point. And it's a nice stop that the Lions defense gets again, the second one in the fourth quarter, to give the ball back to the offense. Here is the portion of the plays where I will probably be more critical from, and this is really surprising for me to say this, like pretty much every time I watch Ben Johnson's offense, I'm like, wow, there's some real design there, number one. Number two, I'm struggling, I'm battling uphill to understand the design at times because I think he's so far ahead of the defense. That was not the case after a couple of plays here. This is a really cool route by Khalif Raymond. It's a wheel that he then turns into an out using, if you ask me, Jameson Williams to kind of pull Zion McCollum out of there and create essentially a one-on-one with all this space. Goff throws the out. Raymond is already making his break at the bottom of the numbers. Goff is already throwing the ball while Raymond is making his break at the bottom of the numbers. Great throw, 20 yards, 18 yards, I believe, 3rd down, I love the design here. This is, again, complete to St. Brown on an out concept. It's a funnel, if you ask me. And what I mean by funnel is you have two receivers, Raymond and Jameson, who are running to the inside and the outside of this defender. So they're putting him in a funnel situation. He's adjusting to the route, to the out route. I think they've switched it. They being the Bucs, that is. So originally lined up to look like man. By those three defenders, the Bucs decide to switch it when you get this funnel release, meaning all three players are running in the same seam area between the top of the numbers and the hash. St. Brown breaks as the inside receiver to the outside. Big gain for St. Brown, I believe, on another third down. A couple of plays later, we're skipping some plays here, just so you know that's obvious. The split backs play on 4th and 1 to the left is it ain't played out. It's not. It works, man. I mean, it's great. It's just shocking to me that NFL defenses aren't hip to this game yet. You do have split backs in the backfield, but come on. One of them is Brock Wright, a tight end, and he normally is going to go cut the edge defender, so it's a little bit of an adjustment because the edge defender is widened up, number one. The actual running back is Gibbs. St. Brown sometimes will go against the flow of this play. So the sweep play from split backs goes into the boundary to the left, and St. Brown would oftentimes go to the right, opposite that flow, and that's what you see here. It's a great job by Jamison Williams. I think the announcer, Mark Schlereth is who I believe it was, did a great job breaking that down. The effort that Williams gave. Normally he's assigned to block frontside inside linebacker, and the fullback, tight end technically from a positional standpoint, but fullback in alignment is going to block an edge defender and get to his outside knee. Well, that edge defender is widened up, so Williams has to chip him a little bit. Brock Wright gets to his outside. Jamison Williams busts Levante David in the mouth here. Brock Wright goes ahead and gets the outside linebacker. You have the pulling left guard. Gibbs off to the races. Again, I think the Bucs are fortunate that this one didn't break and score. Minute 30 left, something like that, when the ball was snapped. Great play design. The Lions and Ben Johnson go to this often. It's a formation tell, if you ask me, whereby when they line up in this particular formation with one running back to the right, Gibbs, the tight end / fullback to the left, in this kind of diamond set with their best offensive threat, St. Brown as the tailback, you pretty much know where the ball is going to go. Nonetheless, the Bucs unable to defend it. Great design. It really uses leverage and angles. That's why the split backs offense was a great offense for decades. So getting down here inside the 15. 1st and 10 from the 13. We're going to go over multiple plays. I have the title of the video as 4th quarter failure. I mean that on multiple levels. Number one, I do think you kind of force-fed Gibbs the ball here into the boundary. Number two, Goff with the interception. I'm not sure where he's throwing the football, but let's move on beyond that one. You got the outside linebacker who's breaking here with Gibbs's swing or flare release. Maybe Goff thinks it's man. So he thinks he's got man here, and this safety theoretically out of the picture. Maybe Goff thinks / knows that if he gets man to the boundary, he's just got a one-on-one and Gibbs is going to have an opportunity to make somebody miss. Well, he doesn't make him miss. The throw is a little bit behind, but even if it is in front, I think it's Tryon is going to have an opportunity to make a tackle. In this case, ends up being a tackle for loss, 4-yard loss on the play. In fact, I think Goff is really quick to get this ball out here. But from a larger perspective, a more global observation, you are really, really lacking in space when there's 3 over 2 to the boundary. They don't need the third defender. Tryon makes the tackle. The third defender there is to basically be inside leverage of Laporta. I think that there at a certain point in time, there needed to be more of a focus on either getting the ball to Gibbs to the field or attacking down the field some more. Basically, let's get the ball in the end zone instead of attacking short so much. I do like the speed out concept to Jamison Williams from a compressed alignment. You can see he motioned down, speed out against Dean, 35. From a wider perspective, looking at the plays from behind, looking at the plays now, playing Monday morning quarterback on Tuesday afternoon, I think you want to get the ball in the end zone at some point, especially with the rule set in the NFL, pass interference calls. Goff seems to be a little harried at times. I don't know what you guys' perception and what the feedback is on the offensive line. Look, the Lions' offensive line has the reputation, rightfully so, of being one of the best in the NFL, and I won't dispute that, but I don't think they're playing to the standard that we all have in our minds over the course of a 60-minute game. There's going to be times where people, win particular matchups. This is a screen, again, into the boundary, left-handed, ball on the left hash, 3 consecutive plays into the boundary. I think you got a little bit of overkill here. 60 is trying to chip the nose tackle. Ragnow is working out. Nobody picks up number 8 at all. 98 does a great job, if you ask me. You've got a real opportunity for a bigger play here. I think it's Ragnow. No one is able to get to number 8. He's the guy who makes the tackle. Credit to 98 for recognizing it. Defensive tackle. You got 2 guys working on the boundary side, second-level defender. Nobody on 8. Zeitler, to me, on this play, looks a little slow getting out of there, very lumbering. And that's why I kind of led with that comment earlier on. But that's a 3rd and 9 play call. In no way, shape, or form am I saying with a minute left and a 4th and 8 that you should kick the field goal. But at this point in time, what have we seen that gives an idea that the Lions can generate anything into the end zone? They just haven't even tried it. So I'm comfortable if someone wants to make an observation about that. I'm not a huge fan of this play call. I know I'm being incredibly critical. This is actually very surprising for me. But you've got 2 routes down here that lead us to the far right side of the end zone, the bottom right portion of our screen, and really not much that I think is available in here against this zone. Do I think more teams are playing zone against the Lions? Yes, through 2 games I do. Do I have the data necessarily to prove it? I mean, of the 50 plays that I have saved up for the large-scale film study video that I'll do later, the overwhelming majority of them are zone. So there will have to be some more man beaters put in order. In order to use man beaters, you have to force them to play man. And so far, it seems like teams are keeping things in front, forcing the Lions to execute up and down the field. And there are times where the offensive line, maybe it's not a quarterback hit, maybe it's not even goes down as a pressure, but Goff is a little bit more moved off of his spot. Still had an opportunity, which is crazy, in this game. I think Derek Barnes played an exceptional game on Sunday. I talked about that in the reaction video and the Aiden Hutchinson video that I did. If you guys didn't check out the Hutchinson video, please consider checking it out. I mean, it's damn near a career day for him, but we would anticipate that Hutchinson will probably have more of them. It's a 3rd and 8, 45 seconds left in the game. Mike Evans over here, Godwin down here, compressed alignment. You're going to get what looks like a fake toss action here. Baker Mayfield's going to fake the toss and then bring the throw back here to the slant to Evans. This is an amazing play and a really poor decision by the Bucs. I mean, I understand that there will be people who will say, you think an NFL team with all the data they have access to could possibly make the wrong decision? Yeah. Have you seen the world we live in today? People make bad decisions all the time, even with a shit ton of data available. Run the ball, force the Lions to use their last timeout, limit their opportunity with a 4-point lead. A field goal doesn't beat you here. So the element of time, if a field goal beats you or ties, if it was 20-17 or 20-18, then I'm talking about from a Bucs perspective, then you don't really make the same play necessarily. Maybe you try to get the first down, even with the 1 timeout. They need a touchdown. So you can play particular coverages that are very soft in nature. I think it's a terrible decision by the Bucs to throw the football there, and I think the Eagles did the same thing last night. NFL teams, good luck if you're trying to justify this to your players, throwing the football and putting your defense in a less manageable situation. But great play by Barnes. How close did he come to a game-closing, game-winning, a game-changing interception? Well, he's looking around for the football, but man, he played a spectacular game. I'll put a video out on him later tonight, Tuesday night, if you guys would like for me to. Let me know in the comments section if you'd like to see that. So they get another chance at it. Short completion, I think, to St. Brown. Then another completion to Gibbs. I think in the interim or in between, had to call a timeout. Just not really much of an opportunity here for the Lions to get much done, number one. But with this rule set in the NFL, I do wonder about how often you should be trying to throw the ball downfield at times and opening yourself up to the defensive pass interference. But these defensive backs from the Rams and the Bucs are playing with leverage. In this case, it happens to be a 4 deep delineation. So hey, Goff made the right decision getting the ball to Gibbs. Are there some times on some of these throws to the running back where I feel like if the ball is there a split second earlier, then especially a guy like Gibbs could maybe make someone miss? Yes. Does this fall under that category? I'm not entirely sure that it does, to be honest with you. That's a little bit unrealistic there. End up having to spike. I think you get 4 more downs, run out of available space and opportunity to actually get a score. I was rooting for the Lions to make a comeback. I'm not sure that based on how the offense performed and the play calls and some of the play calls that we saw that they necessarily deserved it. And you probably don't like the way that sounds. I think that the Bucs defense is very tough and very physical. I think that without Kancey and then Vita Vea going out, the safeties played really well for them, by the way. I think that's pretty obvious if you watch the film, you watched it live, and if you watched any of the All-22/End Zone Angle film. I think there's some opportunities there for Ben Johnson to be a little bit more physical with his play calls and run concepts. I'm not saying that they were running the ball all over the Bucs in every case, but there seemed to be an inordinate amount of under center play action concepts against looks that didn't look like heavy run stopping looks by the Bucs. I don't want to oversimplify or generalize it, but to me there looked like some times where the call was predetermined for Goff and he didn't have the opportunity to come up and check to a run play. Talking about 8-10 seconds left on the play clock, maybe even a little more, and the Bucs appear to be in a front that looks like something you could run the ball against. Nonetheless, it's an under center play action concept. So I don't know what system Ben Johnson and Goff use in terms of a check system, meaning you're allowed to check out of it on this play, or this particular play call is hard-coded, meaning don't check out of it no matter what. We want to run the play because we want to establish this look for other things that we're going to run against them later. Things look less organized. There seemed to be less of a progression to the play calls. Have to give credit to the Bucs defense. Again, played very physical. I think they hit Goff a couple of times, maybe a little bit late. They certainly were being physical with receivers, collisioning them. This is my breakdown for, I think, a failure on at least 2 levels. Ben Johnson, to me, did not call a great football game, and I'm comfortable if you criticize me for pointing that out, but I have a high standard of expectation for Ben Johnson, probably higher than really any offensive coordinator in the league, to be honest with you, because of the sheer amount of Lions film that I watch and how often I've had to go back and look at a play that was successful for the Lions, and then go back and watch the previous 2 or 3 possessions and be like, okay, why did he make this call on the 4th possession? Oh, it was because of some things he had installed on the 1st and 2nd possession. I've had to do that more often with Ben Johnson film than any NFL offensive coordinator that I've ever watched. I enjoy that. I enjoy that uphill battle. Sunday, and then Monday night, and then today, watching the film of the Lions, it didn't feel like an uphill battle for me personally. I didn't feel like I was trying to navigate reasons or rationale why he called particular plays, meaning the defense had been set up. Let's exploit it. How much of that was the Bucs? How much of that was I suspect that maybe Kevin Zeitler is dealing with something, and maybe the offensive line is a little bit less reliable than Ben Johnson is used to. I don't know. I'm not sure. But nonetheless, it didn't work out. And the 4th quarter, I think, was an abject failure with multiple opportunities out there on the field. Having said all that, if they play this game again on Sunday, do I think that the Lions can go out there and win this game by 10, 12, 13 points if they play well? Absolutely, I do. I think this defense can be relied upon, and they have made big stops in the last 2 weeks, even though they had significant trouble with Matthew Stafford in the short passing game and gave up the big one to Godwin and Baker Mayfield in week 2. You guys let me know what you think of the video and the plays that I picked to illustrate my thoughts on the matter, how the 4th quarter played out. And you may disagree with me on some of my observation. That's fine. Let me know in the comments section what you think, where you think I'm remiss or off target. If you think other Lions fans would enjoy my thoughts on this game and how it finished, or perhaps enjoy some of my commentary in the film that I showed them, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.